What is up? What is up? Someone's here. Can you let me know how the audio is coming through Facebook Live, please? And thank you. Let me pin this somehow. How do you do that? We will be starting momentarily. I'm just testing the audio, of course. Yo, Oliver, you want to jump over to Facebook? Oh, you're already saying it's Yadiri. Or I always mess up her name, man. I feel so bad. She's saying it's good. She's the only one live. Oh, we just jumped a few people. She's saying we're good. I like that. I like that. We will be starting momentarily in about 10 minutes. We got the current NWA World Champion Nick effin Aldis. There's that. How do you, is it Yadiri? Yadiri. Yadiri. I sound like a Jamaican. Oh, what's this? I got a text message. I got a text message. Oh, everybody share this with your friends and fam jam. We got NWA World Champion Nick Aldis joining us tonight. Ooh, no band guest here. Gus must not authenticate. Can someone pin this to the top? Where is Spence? Spence is gonna do it. Thank you, sir. Dennis is in the, or no, he's not in the building. He's on the back end here. Do, 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 do. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Oh, shit. I sent the wrong link to those guys. Yeah, Deary does not know where her name came from. We will be starting in a few moments. I'm going to hit the timer. We'll go... up, everybody? We are here with one-time New Japan Tag Champ, multiple TNA Champ. You may know him as Magnus or Oblivion from his Gladiator days, but he's best known as the current NWA World Champion, the National Treasure, Nick Aldis. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you for that introduction.
Yes, that's the second one I got now. How are you doing in the COVID-19 era and all that stuff going on right now?
So used to it at this point that I've forgotten what it was like pre-COVID. But yeah, I'm actually. It sort of hit me this week that I actually have a wrestling match this weekend. So it's sort of I'm having to sort of re-rack my brain, like what my whole road schedule is. Like, okay, pack my bags and because you get into such a routine with that stuff, and it's been such a long time since I've had to do it. So now I'm sort of nervous, not about the match or anything like that, but more just about forgetting something, or like forgetting the belt, or forgetting like my knee pads, or and all those sorts of things. But yeah, look, it's it's weird for me, but it's weird for everyone else too. So what are you gonna do?
Of course, and we'll get right into it. We'll bring up Maddie first. Maddie, what's up, brother?
Hey, not much. How you doing?
Hey,
thanks for doing this.
I'm good. Have we met before?
I was at NWA 70.
Yes, I recognize the name for some reason.
I messaged you a few times on Instagram and whatnot.
There you go.
I had a question about with seeing Thunder Rosa on AEW. Is that going to open a door for maybe some working relationships or anything like that? Mainly the Aldis Cody trilogy that everybody's dying to see.
Well, I mean, firstly, the fact that Thunder Rosa appeared on Dynamite at all indicates that there was an agreement,
with the NWA Women's title.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. No. So, I mean, it was a deal that was made and set up, and so look, the conversation about Cody and I, it's never really gone away, since All In. I mean, honestly, I think even really before All In, people could kind of tell that this was going to be a special rivalry, and we just we knew from the first time we interacted in London, when I showed up at the show there and surprised everybody and made the match official. And you could tell even then that people were just kind of looking at this and going, man, this is a cool, this rivalry. It just works. It's like one of those things in this business that some of the things you just can't. There isn't really any particular thing you can point to and say, oh, that's the reason why. Obviously we're like similar in age, sort of similar in styles, similar in in a lot of ways in the way we present ourselves and things like that. But then we're also very different. I think that's what makes the great rivalry, is that it's sort of it's the sort of very contrasting origins that lead to this same kind of path. And we've got a couple of big egos, trying to sort of push the other and compete with each other, and a lot of that competitiveness is real. And I think the audience can pick up on it when it's real and authentic. So I ain't worried about it. It's always going to be there, and when the time is right, I'm confident that we'll make it happen. They just got to break out the Benjamins for the national treasure.
Hell yeah! It's such a breath of fresh air. I big fan of the old school wrestling, and the old NWA Flair race. Harley race is like God to me.
And me too, obviously.
Yeah. After I actually have that picture of you and Harley at I believe it was at WLW. There's just a black and white picture. I just have it up in I got a little wrestling cave down here.
Oh, very cool.
It's just a brush of fresh air. Just it seemed like right after your and Cody's match at All In, and I kept telling everybody, I had a house full of people. I'm like, this is gonna steal the show. This is gonna steal the show. And I was like, oh, they got Okada and Skrull, and then the Young Bucks and Rey Mysterio, and after that match, we were all just like in awe. And it seemed like from that point on, everything's just like taking off. And it's like wrestling is fun again. Like current product is good again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
it's unbelievable. Your matches
Yeah,
with Cody.
We had it was one of those situations where it was, it was a lot of serendipity, just a lot of different things all kind of converged at the same time, and it made for, it was a good piece of business. So that's the phrase we use in wrestling. Like, it was a good piece of business. Everybody came out of that better, I felt.
Yeah.
It was one of those situations where the people got this incredible moment. Cody got to finally sort of solidify himself, and prove that he could be the person that he envisioned himself to be, that perhaps he hadn't had the opportunity to show previously. I got the same. I got the opportunity to show that I could, carry a main event and be the, and be the genuine world champion, and we proved that we can make magic happen with a YouTube show. So it was, in a lot of ways, it was this very cool situation, because it was we built that entire thing with YouTube, so it was very much at the forefront of the sort of the modern era, right? It was a sort of modern delivery system, but the values were the old school. It was about the NWA Championship with the legacy and the history and the tradition behind it. So it was these two kind of massive forces kind of coming together, and that's where we talk about. That's why I always say the same about the NWA. It's traditional values and modern delivery system.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maddie.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good one.
Man.
Hey, you too.
We will hop over to where is he now? He just left. There he is. Tim, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Tim.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, my friend?
I remember watching you when you were in Impact as Madness. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you had the X Division Championship with Bob Terry in them.
I didn't have the X Division, but I had the tag titles a couple times, and the world title.
Yeah, with Bob Terry in them. So, what was the biggest match ever between NWA and Impact? Like, what was your favorite match to fight?
Well, I'd say, I think we were just talking about. I think All In would probably be the biggest match I've ever had. I certainly felt on that day that was the match that the wrestling world, everybody in wrestling was watching that event, watching that match, and I've truly felt that, and I've obviously had some other big matches in my career, but I never felt like any other match had that sort of attention on it, where you knew that everybody in the business was watching, whether they admitted it or not. Everyone in the business was watching that. But in TNA, for me, obviously winning the world title the first time, Jeff Hardy, such a huge star, and somebody who I grew up watching, and then before that, getting the clean win over Sting, just that was a very surreal situation all the way around, and I was very privileged during my time with Impact to get to share the ring with a lot of Hall of Famers and genuine icons of the industry, and a lot of them were very gracious and gave up their time and gave me the rub. So I'd say the match with Sting at Bound for Glory, and the other one for me was the Bound for Glory series final with AJ Styles in St. Louis from earlier that year, 2013. Like, that was, for me, I always felt like that was the match where the audience and the company and everybody sort of went, okay, this guy just leveled up. This guy's not the guy with potential anymore. This guy's like ready to move forward. So
But if you had a dream match, if you went back to Impact, who would you fight? Would you have a match with Moose or?
Look, like I, we've said this from the beginning, and there's been evidence of it. We've worked with Ring of Honor. I've defended the title in House of Hardcore. I've defended it in Ring of Honor. I've defended it all over the world. Thunder Rosa just showed up at AEW. We've always said that the NWA is open for business. So if I were to show up there, there's a lot of guys there that I have history with. But you know, I'd be as open to saying to them, hey, who wants to step up, just as much as me wanting to work with anyone in particular. But yeah, there's some fresh matchups there. You know, I never really like I got to wrestle Eddie Edwards in some tags, and you know, I have great respect for Eddie, but I never wrestled him one-on-one. So I think that would be interesting. And there's some other fresh talent there that would be, you know, I think would be very interested to mix it up with if the time was right and the business was right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Nick, as somebody who is obviously very involved in the business side of wrestling, what is like a business goal of yours in the wrestling business?
Ownership. To, you know, truthfully, like, to, you know, I think, you know, in the end, it would that would be a goal of mine to have, you know, to have some stake, but it would be and it's not it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but it would be something that I would, you know, we'd be very careful about the conflict of interests. You know, it would be something that would be perhaps worked in such a way that, I mean, obviously I'd have to earn it, you know, but it's, I believe, you know, I believe in this company, and I believe in this entity. And I think that if, you know, I really do put my heart and soul into it. And I think that at some point or other, if I was really going to say, okay, I'm pitching my tent here for good, that would probably be the thing to do it. But it would probably be, you know, but you know, when I was sort of heading towards the end of my in-ring career, or certainly at least as a full-time, you know, in-ring competitor. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, look, I've been open about that, and Billy and I have had those conversations. It's not something he's going to just say, oh, sure, yeah, here you go. But it's no different. I mean, Conor McGregor had these conversations about the UFC. He wanted a stake, you know, and that's, I mean, I have other, you know, I have other business ventures that I'm working on, and I'm always trying to diversify. Like I just started this gig with Fight, and, you know, so I'm always looking to, I try to be multifaceted, and I try to have, you know, a lot of different hustles going on, because the average millionaire has 7 sources of income.
Of course.
So, you know, you got to diversify, folks. So, yeah, and I think ultimately I do take an active role in a lot of different things here, whilst trying to maintain the separation of church and state and not have that conflict of interest. But the more I, you know, confident, the more I prove that, the more that you know, I'm able to help sustain and grow this company. That, you know, the more likely it is that you would see that happen.
Awesome. We will we'll say hi to Dennis.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Dennis, nice shirt.
Thank you. I wore it specifically for this. Real quick, a little bit of a flashback for you. I just wanted to see if you possibly remember signing this for me a couple of years ago before your wrestling.
Yes. I love it when people bring like obscure pictures, you know, rather than just a straight up 8x10. That was a fun day when Idol came to the house, and we did our little Christmas vignette.
So a couple questions here. First, I just recently got the 10 pounds of gold DVD set off the NWA shop, and because I didn't catch a lot of the early episodes, and I've just started really digging the story that you and Tim Storm told during that time. What did it mean to you when you beat Storm for the NWA title at the Cage of Death show at CZW and basically become the face of the NWA?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. It was a weird night. I'll look. This isn't going to come as any big surprise to anyone who knows me, but when I heard that that they wanted me to do something at CZW, I kind of went, really? You know, and I understood the premise, because the idea being that it would be so shocking because it was such a square peg in a round hole, and I'd had similar success at House of Hardcore for the same reason, where it was like I was the antithesis of what that you know, what that sort of crowd and brand represented. But CZW's, you know, that's a sort of whole different level of that, as far as that style of stuff goes. Not my cup of tea, and you know, and let's just leave it there. But at the end of the day, it was, at the time, we were basically trying to bootstrap this thing, you know, with a YouTube show, and we basically had to use whatever we had available to us to make something newsworthy. And you know, that show, for all you can say about it, about, you know, the content of it, it was, you know, it was a decent crowd, and it was and they were lively, and it got attention. You know, but off the back of that, you know, guys like Sam Roberts and Busted Open and all these guys are reaching out because they're going, wow, it's just, you know, we heard, it made the news. And that's really what in the beginning, that's what we had to do. We had to get into the mix, you know, we had to make the headlines. And, you know, the way we did it was, you know, it was different. And ultimately, not every match has to be this epic, you know, great match and 20 finishes and, oh my God, this is awesome. You know, that one was like, Tim was injured and I took advantage of him and kind of dominated him and pinned him, and everyone went, whoa, you know, and that's, sometimes you got to do those things to get people talking. So it achieved what we wanted to in the long haul, even though it wasn't necessarily the most enjoyable night of my career.
Gotcha. And then my second question is, if you could have a match with any former NWA champion in his prime, who would it be and why?
Well, probably just for my own personal reasons, probably Harley.
I figured that would be your answer.
Just because Harley, you know, was so gracious to me, and you know, and particularly in the last few years, you know, represented you know, a significant sort of boost to me, I think. And the fact that he gave up his time, particularly in, you know, in his last years on Earth, you know, to sort of go out of his way to endorse me and to sort of when, you know, because people don't know this, but he had pretty much sort of given up on any modern incarnations of the NWA. You know, he had pretty much said, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And then, you know, obviously by the, you know, later on, he changed his mind, and you know, that I'd like to think I played a small part in that. And but just, you know, I trained at his camp in 07, made some lifelong friends there, and Harley, you know, went out of his way to help me, and then later on, you know, the fact that the last interview he ever did was with me, that's very humbling. So I think from that point of view, it would be Harley. And then, but from a professional standpoint, I guess, or from a sort of quality standpoint, based on the way I wrestle, you know, and you know, who would be a ideal opponent, you know, for me to sort of tell the kind of story I'd want to tell with an NWA title match, it would probably be Steamboat in his prime.
Oh, that would be really good and stuff. So,
awesome. I mean, Steamboat was, I mean, he was just untouchable. You know, he's just just the perfect baby face. And for a guy like me, like the, you know, as the antagonist, it would have just been a dream come true to wrestle him in his prime.
Awesome. Well, hey, Nick, thanks for your time. Best of luck to you in the future, and I can't wait to see you back in the ring.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis. We will say hi to Aaron. What's up, buddy?
Hello, guys. Hello, Nick. Great to meet you. Fantastic taking some time out for us fans here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of what you and Billy are doing with the NWA. You know, Tim Storm, his contributions to it and everything. In fact, 10 Pounds of Gold is what got me back into watching wrestling again after a long hiatus. And,
that's very cool to hear.
You know, I fell in love with it instantly. And, you know, going back to some of the comments you made earlier regarding revenue streams and income and things like that, as much as I'm into wrestling, I'm very into investments, cryptocurrencies, real estate, things like that. I'm just curious what the national treasure does with his investments. You have any tips or anything like that for people?
I don't feel certainly not qualified to give tips, but my portfolio is mostly I have to rebalance it here coming up again soon, but it's I tend to go about 60-40 between stocks and bonds, and some of that is made up of ETFs as well. They've and probably the biggest chunk of my investment portfolio is straight up S&P 500. It's I'm a sort of moderate risk kind of investor, and when it comes to stock market, so far so good. It's been performing very well even in COVID. I tend not to try to time the market, but when the COVID stuff really started getting serious, and we it really became apparent that okay, this is going to have some pretty serious economic impact. I pulled most of my investments and parked them in cash for a week or two, and then kind of slipped them back in. And while I don't recommend that, because you really shouldn't try to time the market, for me, fortunately, it worked out, because then since then it's all kind of with all the different kind of measures that were taken, and obviously people kind of able to adapt and pivot, the stock market's kind of rebounded a little bit, so I actually benefited from that. I was an angel investor in a restaurant business, which pays me a nice little dividend every month, and
That's fantastic.
Yeah, looking at some other stuff now, but I'm keeping quite trying to stay pretty liquid at the moment, because I'm looking to start my another separate business for myself. So
congratulations.
That'll be where the majority of capital goes in the next few months.
Oh, that's fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Another quick question I have as a member of the cryptocurrency community. I'm curious if anybody introduced you to Bitcoin. Have you ever looked into that at all?
Well, I know people who are, and I know people who are who are doing very well with it. I have not. I haven't dabbled any of that yet. I don't. I just don't understand enough about it. I'm not ruling it out, but until such a time where somebody could sort of lay it out to me in plain English and explain to me. And the other thing is, it sounds like you're probably more qualified to speak on this than I am, but it seems like something where you've really got to be quite hands-on with it and be kind of monitoring it quite frequently, which is not really my investment style. Mine's more of a sort of set it and forget it kind of dollar cost averaging investment style. So I've always kind of been a little wary of stuff like crypto and Forex and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, never obviously invest in anything without knowing something about it.
Sure,
Course,
right.
Yeah, just I'm not a financial advisor, but I definitely recommend the National Treasurer get a little bag of Bitcoin. Just have that on hand and hold on to that for a while.
I might have a little dabble with it. We'll see.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. It's good to hear. And I really hope wish you well with all your business ventures and investments, and of course retaining that NWA World Championship, of course. And again, thanks for taking some time out for us. And
thank you, Aaron. Thanks for an interesting topic of discussion. not the usual fare.
I figured it'd be a little different, but
yeah, appreciate it.
Enjoy your night, gentlemen.
You too.
Thanks, Aaron. We will head over to Yadi.
Hello. Don't mind the bugs. They're screeching right now. It's,
man.
I guess mating season. I don't know. It's better than 3 dogs screaming at the house right now because somebody's over. So that's why I went outside.
You want to swing or something? What are you doing there?
Yeah, it's like a swing thing. It's not what you think. Not that kind of swing, but it's.
Hey! I wasn't going there.
Just saying. Anyway,
what you do in your own time is up to you.
I am panned. No. What was I saying? I'm still relatively kind of new to NWA. I mean, I only know about a little bit about it, but I know enough. Like, I've been watching. But my question is, would you ever come to Chicago? Ever? Like, you know, like the whole company come to Chicago and
Oh,
have a show in Chicago?
well, I would, based on the fact that the owner is Chicagoan, I would guess that that would be something that we would that would be highly likely at some point. You know, once things return to some level of normality. Which, and I don't want to get into any big conspiracy theories here, but I've just got this weird feeling that after the election, we're sort of going to miraculously find
Yeah,
that
God forbid. I mean,
things
that's why the
start
Cubs
to,
won the World Series before the,
But no,
yeah.
Chicago is arguably the best wrestling city in the world. I mean,
Yes, it is.
me, I have obviously very fond, you know, I have a very sort of soft spot for Chicago now after All In. And yeah, I
My
think
ears
that
are still popping from Revolution. So
so
all those kicks, from
yeah. So
Orange
with Billy
Cassidy.
being from Chicago and with with it being such a strong wrestling city anyway, I'm sure that that would be something that we'd be looking at. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That was my only question. I didn't want
Thanks,
to
Adi.
pop
All
it
right.
out.
Well, happy swinging.
Thank you. Take care.
See ya.
Mr. Aldis, we got 3 more for you, if that's okay. We got
Yeah, sure.
Ronnie up first. I think he's driving. I hope not.
Yeah, I just got off of work off of my shoot job.
Sweet job.
Yeah. So you know what I do.
Is your shoot job holding up trains?
No. I actually work with IDD individuals.
Cool.
So, but being an independent professional wrestler, I wrestle as the Irish Extreme. What is the best way to get on the radar of the NWA?
Promos, like cutting good quality promos, and I said this in an interview recently where I used Ricky Starks as an example, but the whole, like, when I first got into the business, I broke in 05, so, or 04, 05. Anyway, and at that point, we internet, email is a thing, MSN Messenger, stuff like that. But for the most part, if you're going to reach out to a promoter in 05, the chances are you're like emailing him and you're attaching a picture and a resume, right?
Yeah.
And then as time progressed, then it might have become, here's a YouTube link to a match that was shot with, one camera, like plopped in the corner. Then it progressed to, if you knew somebody who knew how to edit, you might make a little crappy highlight reel, and it's progressed sort of on and on from there. Now, guys are making their own vignettes, and they're professionally shot and edited and produced, and that's how Starks caught my eye, and that's how he ended up coming to work for the NWA, and then obviously, that becoming a launching pad for him to have more success, because I saw these vignettes and I went, I've never seen this guy wrestle. I've never seen him cut a promo, but anyone who's making that level of effort and has that vision in their mind's eye to create something like that has something. And, look at Marty with the villain vignettes. He'd been plugging away at this for years and kind of staying in place, and then he just went, all right, F this, and he makes his own character and his own vignettes and just does it himself. You've got to now it's not enough to just be a wrestler now you have to be a producer, a director. So certainly, to come and work with us, we're not the NWA culture is not the same as other places, in the sense that there isn't just like this one, it's not going to be like you show up and we tell you like, okay, you're doing this and this is your name and this is how you walk and this is how you talk and this is how you wrestle and you do exactly this and you say exactly this. Like we're not really, we're more interested in taking, working with existing characters and existing kind of acts and entities, and then matchmaking, much more in the sort of in the old way of like guys kind of had their act and they had their gimmick, and if we look at them and go, hey, he might match up well with Trevor Murdoch or this guy or that guy, and then we want guys who have that experience and have that savvy, but also have a very strong understanding of who they are and who they want to be and what their character is, so that then we can place it, and Billy's philosophy is let talented people be talented, and so that's my advice to anyone trying to catch the eye of us, or really, and I think the same could be said for AEW in a lot of ways. Like they don't really tinker with guys, the guys come in and they kind of, they let them roam. Obviously there's booking, but that's the same as us. But in terms of who they are and what they say and who they what they portray, like we want to let the talent be who they want to be. So you've got to think like a producer now. You've got to come up with the whole package. It's not enough to just be like, hey, I'm a wrestler, like, help me figure out the rest. Like, you got to present the whole package, soup to nuts.
Thanks,
I totally agree.
Oh,
I not only focus on a lot of promos, I also put out a weekly vlog on YouTube. So I always stay in the public eye.
Good. Well, like I said, just you've got to have a thick skin and you've got to have a self-awareness to sort of know, okay, what's the feedback? What are people thinking when they see this? How can I improve this? What can I do? Where do I get? Because look, I've had many incarnations, and and all the ones that didn't hit was because I was trying to do someone else's, somebody else's vision of who they thought I was, and then I was trying to sort of mix in my own thing until eventually I went, fuck this, I'm going to be who I want to be, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to own it. It's all about owning it. They see it in here, they feel it resonate. You've got to, they have to know when you walk through the curtain that you're 100% into who you are and what you're doing.
Yep. Thank you for your advice, and can't wait for not only Power but Carneyland to come back.
Well, we're focusing right now on Primetime Live on Fight starting September 15th, so we can get back to some in-ring action, because the NWA is about wrestling, so we want to get some in-ring action going again.
That's great. Fight TV is awesome.
Yes, they are.
Well, that's all I have, and have a great night.
You too, Ronnie. Thanks for calling in.
We got two more quickly. Kenny, what's up?
Hey, thanks again, Nick, for taking the time for this. Mine's going to be quick. I mean, realistically, COVID has fundamentally changed everything about wrestling right now, and there's been a lot of, I guess, negative that's come with it, and then adaptation that's come with it. Is there anything that you're actually looking forward to in the COVID era of wrestling now?
I mean, I don't know if looking forward to is the right word, but I've definitely seen some positives that I've taken from it. I think that, so for one thing, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but it kind of forced me to take more of a role and more responsibilities. I've been basically teaching myself how to edit and produce and direct. Because it's going to, because we realized that if we were going to sort of maintain our schedule and we're a digital content brand basically.
Absolutely.
And in order to do that, we've got to be producing digital content. And so it's kind of an all hands on deck situation. And I sort of realized, I obviously had a very hands-on role with the content creation, but I wasn't the one physically doing the stuff. It was always one of those things like, I'll let one of the other guys, I'll let one of the people who's actually trained to do that do it. And then one day I went, no, like be accountable. Like, you have to learn how to do it, right? Like,
yeah, all hands on deck.
Yeah, and honestly, from a personal standpoint, that's been great because now I have, I have this whole other sort of skill set that I'm developing, and I'm able to help shape elements of the brand and my own personal brand. So, and I think that there are other guys who have, you see that in how they've stepped up. Thunder Rosa is one of them. A lot of guys who, behind the scenes who have made it clear that they want to sort of contribute and help and help bring, help keep the company going and figure out how to pivot. And that's, necessity breeds invention, and ultimately you become a sort of, you get, you're conditioned by your hardships. Right. And a lot of the time you're shaped by how you deal with adversity, right? Growth comes from pain. So I feel like I've definitely developed a lot of skills, and I think that overall we as a team have figured out a lot of things where, it's kind of like when they always say when one of your senses gets taken away, your others become heightened, so, and then hopefully at some point when we can return to, some semblance of normality, we can really thrive and sort of push forward. But no, we take solace in the fact that even with, quite a sustained period of inactivity,
right,
our audience are still with us, and they're still like wanting to push forward and wanting to sort of, help the NWA and because they planted their flag in the ground with us. They went like, I'm an NWA fan first, and that's awesome, and we've got to keep building on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right before COVID hit, you guys were at a pivotal point of content creation and evolution. So, I mean, it's only going to be phenomenal to see where it goes post.
Yeah,
or at least when there is some sort of normalcy in it all. Because like you guys were on fire, it's great.
Yeah, and honestly, the hardest thing for us is going to be keeping our talent because because we've showcased, we've shown how well we can make stars and make people and get people over. That now they're all coming from obviously all these big companies with deep pockets coming from all over, going, wow, I like this guy, and. But we, that's not a knock. That's not bitter. It's just like it's business. But it's obvious. But it's a testament to what we've been able to do.
Yeah, because you guys during that time period have been able to put people over hella well, and once again, it's a testament to your company and what you all can achieve and do. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what's to come. Very much so.
We appreciate it, and we need people like you to to spread the word and to get people who haven't seen it or on the fence and be like, hey, go to YouTube and check out NWA Power, like binge watch them. There's 21 episodes, they're free. It's all there, it's all available on YouTube, all in one place, and it's the more we can keep building, I always remind people that my wife and I. We would hear people talk about Game of Thrones, just over and over and over again. And we went, nah, that's not really for us. That's kind of nerd stuff, like fantasy and dragons and this, and then that's not really my thing. And then eventually one day we said, okay, well, let's try it. And then next thing you know, we're the same. We're like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next one. And so, so I understand that mentality. And I know that, when it comes to wrestling fans, I know that, it's WWE first and then, AEW and then whoever, and it's like the chances are for a lot of people, NWA might be in like 4th or 5th place in terms of their priorities. But what we're confident in is that if we can just keep convincing people, like, hey, go check out episode 1 of NWA Power, and then when they do, we still get it to this day. People go, oh my God, I just discovered this show. This is nuts. Like, oh my God, it's like that opening promo, the style, the audience, the matches, the studio, the look, the feel, the energy. It's just
there.
So, and so in some ways it's kind of cool because we can use this time to keep pushing people. Hey, go back and check out what we've done so that when we get back on track, it's like you're all up to speed and you know what we're all about.
Yeah, it's exciting times. I mean, we live in the world where there are so many other choices other than just WWE. So it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. It's a great time to see wrestling content, and there's so many great brands. And once again, just very excited to see what's in the future. And like I said, keep it short. Thank you so much for taking the time this evening. It's greatly appreciated.
No worries. Your fandom is appreciated too, Kenny. Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, thank you.
We had one more, but something kicked him out or something just left. So we're gonna wrap it up there, Mr. Aldis.
All right.
Where can everybody find you? Of course, on NWA and Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
So, but for the NWA, very simple across all the different socials at NWA, and then for myself, I'm on Twitter at Real Nick Aldis and on Instagram at Nick Aldis, and I'm verified on both, so check them out. And like I said, if you're on the fence, you haven't given NWA a shot yet, and you haven't seen what we've been doing, just give her a go. YouTube.com/NWA. Go to NWA Powered episode 1. Just click go. I promise you, by the time it's all said and done, you'll be watching 2, 3, 4, all the way to 21.
Thank you, sir. And everybody have a great night.